Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tabuti. I'm back today to talk about a few topics. I'm going to start with Jussie Smollett. And for those who may not know who he is, he's the young, fine, gay, openly gay actor that stars on Empire. Well, back in January, Smollett, he went to a Subway to get something to eat at 2 o'clock in the morning in Chicago. It was freezing cold that day. They say it was like 20 below zero. And when he left the Subway, he was attacked by two white men wearing MAGA hats. And they had tied a rope around his neck and poured bleach on him while yelling racial and homophobic slurs at him. Well, a lot of black folks, especially, they was like, this ain't sounding right. You out at 2 in the morning to go to a Subway in freezing cold weather? You walk to a Subway in freezing cold weather? And then turn around, two white guys walking down the street. Also, he had stated that they said something about, they knew that he was an actor on Empire. Strange. You went to a Subway in the middle of the night, freezing cold weather. You're walking home. Two white guys recognize you as an actor on Empire. They yell racial slurs and homophobic things at you, tie a noose around your neck, pour bleach on you. You proceed from there and you walk down the street, and I believe he went to his apartment. He didn't report it immediately. He walked to his apartment with a noose. I'm talking about a noose. With a noose around his neck. He called his publicist to let his publicist know what happened. And from there, a phone call was made to the police. Well, anyway, during the police investigation, they checked cameras on the street, talked to witnesses that may have been around, and it took them quite a while to get some information. And all they could find was these two black guys walking down the street. But ironically, during the investigation, there are two Nigerian brothers, and the plot thickens. The two brothers went to Nigeria, and up on their return, the police picked them up at the airport, and they were taken down to the station and questioned. Well, it turns out these two guys, one of them is Jussie's trainer, and one of them, I don't know which one, actually played a part on Empire. Admitted to attacking Jussie, but they said that it was a hoax that was set up by Jussie. Jussie had them to purchase these items, and they have videotape, and they showed it. It was televised on the news of the two brothers purchasing a lot of the items, the rope and other items at the store. Well, and also they had alleged that Jussie had paid them $3,500, and they had a check to verify that Jussie did pay them. But then the plot thickens. As the investigation goes on, the police find out or believe that Jussie had set up this hoax. And the police alleged that Jussie had sent a threatening letter to himself using magazine clippings, threatening Jussie making racial and homophobic threats in the letter, and a stick figure with a rope around his neck. Well, Jussie was eventually arrested and he posted bond. The grand jury had indicted Jussie with 16 charges, and 2 of which were for mail fraud. There was a lot of public sympathy for him. His co-stars on the Empire, other celebrities, people living in Chicago, the LGBTQ community, everybody was rooting for Jussie, and they had a full-blown, costly investigation going on into this case. Well, make a long story short, as of this past Monday, out the blue, Jussie and his attorney, they had an emergency court hearing. And the prosecutors, the Chicago prosecutors, dropped the case, dropped all charges against Jussie. And the police, the Chicago police superintendent and the mayor of Chicago, when they heard about it, they weren't informed in advance. When they heard about it, when I say they were pissed off, they held a press conference and they blasted Jussie and the prosecuting attorneys, saying that it was something fishy going on because Jussie was guilty of these charges. And although it was said that the prosecuting attorney didn't have to inform the police superintendent or the mayor, because it's 2 separate things, the police investigate, the prosecutors take over. But they were pissed off. And they said that this is injustice and unfair to other people who have cases going on, and that they felt that there was some type of higher influence involved in this case. Public opinion is split because people are saying that because of the evidence, the videotape, the brothers admitting to attacking him, Smollett knowing them, having close contact with them, they're saying that this case is very strange. And then, to make things even worse, his file has been sealed, so no information will ever be available. And today on the news, because this is like the talk of the town, the talk of the country, the prosecuting attorney came forward and stated that we did not exonerate Smollett. The charges were dropped in return for Smollett's agreement to do community service and forfeit his $10,000 bond to the city of Chicago. And his community service was at Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push office, where he stuffed envelopes and then taught or showed the workers how to use cameras, because he's in the entertainment business, how to videotape. But also the FBI and the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is looking into his case, especially regarding mail fraud. They want to find out, and they have been doing this in the beginning, but they wanted to find out whether or not Jussie himself had mailed the letter to himself, because in that case, it would be mail fraud. But also Trump chimed in. Trump, your president, he chimed in. He's pissed off, and he's issuing for the FBI and the DOJ to look into this case further. And the truth is, in my opinion, the only reason Trump is doing this because the hate crime that Jussie alleged involved two white men allegedly wearing MAGA hats, but it turns out that this was not true. It was just a scam. So Jussie is now free, and people are pissed off, but they're saying that he will be going back to the empire, although he was written out of the last two shows. So we'll see what's going to happen, but the police chief, the mayor, the FBI, the DOJ, and Trump, and a lot of other prosecutors are still looking into this case, so it may not be over. They want to know what happened and why would you seal his case so that no one would ever know what the true evidence was. So if I hear an update, I'll let you guys know. Tell me what you think about this. Do you think Jussie got over? But wealthy white people get away with things all the time. All the time. Hey, one for us. And what I say to the police chief of Chicago, or superintendent, and the mayor, with the high crime in Chicago, if you all gave as much energy and money and other resources into solving all of the shootings and murders that occur in Chicago, imagine. I mean, there's not as much concern into Chicago, all the things that go on. And it's well known that Chicago has high crime, but we don't hear about that. So, do you think Jussie got over? Do you think it was justified? Are you rooting for Jussie? Also, another big question is, what about the two Nigerian brothers? Where does things stand for them? When Jussie's attorney was asked on Monday about, well, what's going to happen with the two brothers, she shrugged it off and basically said, you're going to have to talk to their attorneys. And so they're saying, but if they admitted to attacking him, and that they have a check saying that Jussie did, in fact, pay them, what's happening in their case? But also, the two brothers' attorney came forward yesterday or this morning and said that she dropped the case because the two brothers are refusing to come forward to address the issue any further. They're not going to testify. But yeah, people are saying something fishy is going on in this case, and that Jussie may know people in high places. And they're trying to say because he's a celebrity and wealthy. But I looked on, I think it was Whittier Peaks. They're saying that his net worth is only $500,000. And as far as being a celebrity, he's not a well-known celebrity. When I first heard about this whole allegations of him being attacked, I didn't know who Jussie Smollett was until I saw his picture. and the fact that they mentioned that he was on Empire, then I immediately remembered him. But I would not say that Jussie is a well-known celebrity. Did you? But the twist and turns at the end was that now they're saying that the $35 check that Jussie had written to the Nigerian brothers was in fact for the training and nutritional advice that was given to Jussie. So this is a very strange story. Also in the news, Trump is plans to end what's referred to as Obamacare, which is the Affordable Health Care Act. Well, now he wants it ended. And if the repeal pass, this is going to be the major consequence. 21 million people will lose health insurance. 12 million adults will lose Medicaid coverage. 133 million people, Americans, will not be protected with pre-existing conditions. See, under the Affordable Care Act, people with pre-existing issues could not be turned down by insurance companies. Young and the elderly can have pre-existing issues. Well, you know, back in the past, before the Affordable Care Act was passed, when you had pre-existing issues, health insurance wouldn't cover you because that could be costly. Pre-existing issues could be any type of health issue: seizures, cancer, diabetes. I mean, we could go on and on with health issues. If the court does agree and it's appealed, what's going to happen is people will have to go to the emergency room, which is what people were doing in the past. And that was very costly. And you know where the cost? Who paid the cost? All of us, the taxpayers. When people were going to the emergency room for anything. But when you don't have a doctor and you get sick, people were going to the emergency for things that were not life-threatening. And because the cost was extremely high, that cost was being put off on all of the taxpayers. So if Trump's appeal goes through, you guys, we're going to pay the price. And the killer is, even his base is going to pay the price. So our children, ourselves, if we don't have health insurance, the elderly, if you're not wealthy, if you're not employed with a job that provides health insurance, it's going to be very costly. But I can say that the one thing that I found that I didn't like about the Affordable Care Act was that the premiums were incredibly high. Now, the one thing I did like about the affordable health care was that it opened Medicaid to, in some states, what's called the expanded Medicaid, which was for those who may not have qualified for affordable care, health insurance. Maybe they didn't make enough to pay for affordable care, health insurance. And if they made under that, they could qualify for Medicaid, what's called expanded Medicaid. Well, if that goes through and Trump is going to put all he got into it, Obamacare, just the name pisses him off. That's why he wants to get rid of it. But the kicker is this. The Republicans, Trump, this is one of the main things besides building the border wall that he has talked about, like I said, even during campaigning for the presidency. They still don't even have a plan. They never set up in the last almost 2.5 years, and put something together that they could present to us to say, well, okay, well, yeah, this is better. And originally, when he became president, and a lot of people opposed his trying to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, he had said that he would include pre-existing health issues into the Republican new plan. But now he's saying, I want to scrap it all. When Trump was asked by reporters about the Affordable Health Care Act, yeah, he said he gonna scrap it all. They are going to come up with something better. When you presented this, any damn body in the work world. No, you don't present something after you eliminate something. You come forward with a better plan and present it to the people. Not after you've eliminated something, especially healthcare. What the are you thinking? All I got to say is, this is another case of something just ain't right.